In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the blend air door actuator in a 2008-2015 Cadillac CTS. Maybe similar for other vehicles, but I know for sure those are the ones that this video will cover. This is the part number that we're going to use. This is the actuator for hot to cold. So the problem with this one is it's getting stuck either on hot or cold, and it's really not too hard of a job to do. You're mainly going to need some screwdrivers, a specialty ratcheting wrench, and a whole lot of patience. So this is the bit set that we're going to be using here. Very tight spaces to work in, and a 1/4 inch ratcheting wrench is going to come in extremely handy. It's my little tool set for blend air doors in general. First thing we've got to do is remove this little kick panel down here, this plastic piece. There are a couple Phillips head screws that we've got to take out. Let's see, we've got one here, one there, and one there. And then you may have a little nut over that stud on the firewall. This one's already missing, and that one's already missing. Some of them just press on, but I have actually seen nuts on them before. So let me go ahead and get this kick panel removed. Once the 3 Phillips head screws are removed, we're going to pull this down and out to get off those 2 studs near the firewall. You can twist this and pull it off, or actually take off the connector and then take off this little guy here. I'm going to go ahead and unplug this too, because that thing will burn you. But let's take a look at the blend air door actuator itself. So here we have the little cam lever, and we have our connecting bar, and way up there is the actual motor itself with those yellow wires plugging into it. If you buy the exact GM part number that I showed you in the beginning of the video, this is what it's going to include: cam lever, connecting bar, motor assembly itself, a screw for the cam bar there, or cam lever, and then some grease. So we're going to need to grease the tracks that these are going in on the cam lever there. We'll get those out of the way, and then we'll take a look up inside here so you can actually see what we've got to do and see why this little 1/4 inch ratcheting wrench is going to come in handy. So this is how we're going to use the tool. Number 2 Phillips head, just like this, and that extremely low profile is what's going to be saving us. So look down inside here. Okay, up here is what we're working on. If I remember, there are only 3 screws. It's possible that there's just 2. So we've got one that we can see there, and the other one is pretty high up, and it's going to be hard to video. Once I get the tool on it, I'll bring the camera in, and that'll give you a reference as to where it's at. You can also look at your new motor that you have laying out and kind of get an idea of where it's supposed to go. Unfortunately, I can't fix the camera angle, but we've got a few things we've got to do here so we can get to that top screw. So this little body control module is going to push towards the passenger side and down. Then you can actually get it out of the way completely. We're going to have to do that so we can get our tool up in there. And once you get that loose, we're going to connect the throttle position sensor, or pedal sensor here. Okay. It's got that gray safety lock on it. You can pull it out, and our body module will come out all the way. Just kind of set it anywhere to get it out of there. Then we got a lot better look at our blend air door motor here. So we've got that one bottom screw, and then you can feel around up here to find the other one. So you can't quite see it, but it's right where my thumb's at. Again, you can look at your new motor for reference. So let me go ahead and get my tool ready. I'll show you where it's at. Okay, the easy one is obviously easy. You can see it. This one right here is the difficult one. You can see where I've got my wrench. You can also notice the supporting structure right there. See that? So that is obviously the support structure for the screw. So you can kind of follow it forward and then guess where that little screw is, even if you can't see it. So this is where that tool comes in really handy, because you can just do it one-handed. Kind of get it set in there, start taking it loose. All right, so I'll go ahead and move that all the way. Then I'll move this screw all the way, and I can take the electrical connector off. I want to show you how I have my arm in here, because you've got to be very specific with how you do everything, or you won't be able to get to this screw. So my arm is coming in behind the brake pedal, in front of the accelerator pedal, and that's how you get to that screw. If you've got a smaller body, maybe you can get to it a different way. I have pretty thin arms, very long arms though, and long fingers, so this is how I've got to do it here. I've got the top screw out. Just gonna finish this bottom one off here. There we go. All right. So if you want, you can just replace the motor, but this little thing is pretty hard to push out of here. You can get a screwdriver and actually knock it out, but we're gonna go ahead and replace the entire cam since we've got it. Try to do this one-handed so you guys can see it. Just pushing that down, pulling that connector out. There we go. Then we can take out the Phillips head screw on our cam there. Orientation isn't too important when you take it out, as long as you line everything back up when you put it back together, of course. All right, so now we've got our entire unit out. You can see where you need to grease in this track. You can also look up inside and see where these touch and figure out where you need to put your grease as well. So let me get my new assembly together, put some grease on it too. If you're really in a pinch, you can actually take apart your old motor here and see if you can try to fix it. I've done this in the past, and usually you can get the motors to work for a little while. If they have some kind of corrosion, which is unlikely, you can clean that up and get your motor working again. This one is definitely bad, so let me go ahead and break it apart for you. There you have these little plastic clips on each side. Usually they're gonna break off. If you're careful, you can do it without breaking them. Since we're just throwing this one in the trash, I'm not really gonna try too hard to be careful with it. All right. So here we have our motor assembly, and what typically goes bad is not anything inside here, but right here on your dial. So you have these little arms that are your wipers, and they are what tell what position that this thing is in. So sometimes you can clean this off and clean these contacts off really good with some alcohol or something like that, and it'll fix your motor for a little bit. If you want to just see if your motor is good or bad, obviously you can just take 12 volts and apply it on either side, and this thing will turn. So beware if you do that though. Obviously your timing is going to be off with your gear. So anyway, I have done these before plenty of times, actually, taking them apart, cleaning them and putting them back together, and then you're good to go. So if a new part is out of the question, at least in the short term, you can sometimes fix them. Let's take a look up inside here. You can see I've already got new grease in a few spots. Little cam lever up there. So now we'll just get this thing back together. I don't think I'll be able to video that for you guys, unfortunately. There's just not enough room in there. But at least you get to see how this thing comes apart. And should help you understand how to put it back together as well. That top screw is going to be the hardest one, but with that body control module out of the way, you can use your fingers and you can get this thing started. If you have any magnetic bits, that will really help you out, because then you can just hold the bit and the screw together to get that top one started. But yep, that is pretty much it for the disassembly. Let me get this thing put back together, test to make sure it works. Once you've got the motor and linkage back in place, you can plug in your pedal sensor there, turn your car on, turn the key on at least, and then test to make sure your motor's working. So we'll go ahead and go to as cool as it will get. Then we'll start turning the heat up. Got my finger on the button here, we're turning it up to heat. Just make sure you go through the full range of motion. You should be good to go. Turn it back to cool. Just make sure nothing's binding up, everything's in the proper track. And that is all there is to it. Then you're just gonna have to unplug your pedal sensor again so you can get your body control module back up. It just pops into place. And then after that, put your kick panel on and you're good to go. If you have any questions about what you saw in the video today, put them in the comments. Thanks for watching.